What's packing, party people? I am Godchild, first of his name, and this is the What's Packin' Sports Show. Back at you for another week. Look, I'm sorry about last week, guys. Just kind of lost track of time. But this week, we've celebrated another Victory Monday. We talking about the 5 things: who, what, when, where, and why. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Washington football team 24-10 on Sunday. Let me just say real quick, thank you guys for subscribing, and thank you for all your comments, the likes, and even the dislikes if that's what you choose to do. It's all appreciated. All right, man. Green Bay, like I said, they took on Washington at home in Lambeau, a team in the football team, as Washington is going by right now, as they decided to move on from their old moniker of all the success in the past and glory days, the R word, or, if you just want to say it, the red, look at that. I'm trying not to say it out of respect for what they're trying to do. They were kind of reeling, not really won a bunch of games. I think they were 2-4. They had been beaten up on by offenses around the league. They were giving up the most points coming into the game, and the Packers only put up 24 points, which actually wasn't bad to just do a little bit of diagnosis on the game and kind of like a little recap of the game. The Packers, they really needed to kind of get some things going offensively. They not as good of an output of production as you would hope, but defensively, man, they made some things happen, and they showed to me that they're really much improving. The two biggest additions are Joe Barry and Devondre Campbell, and with that, we're gonna get right into. That's a great segue into who stood out, and once again, this is becoming like a staple at this point. Devondre Campbell, linebacker, free agent, stood out to me. He's making plays all over the field. He has some pressures, and it's just like his presence. And I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know I said he stood out, but my memory, me and my memory, you know what I'm saying? We got a thing going on, and honestly, it's a little complicated right now. I'm always seeing him flying around those dreads everywhere. I remember he did swat the ball out on that 4th and goal. After Heineke, so foolishly and just kind of honestly just really softly, timidly and foolishly just kind of gave himself up. He could have just ran into the fucking end zone and maybe put his shoulder down if the defender got kind of close, but he should have scored. But the point is, what the fuck was the point? The point is, on 4th and goal, Devondre Campbell made the play by knocking the ball out of his hands, which kind of stopped his momentum, and I think that's what led to them calling it not a successive 4th and goal, because he did kind of regain it and then stick the ball back over. But so it's I don't know, it was a little iffy, but it was I feel like to the letter of the rule, it was probably correct. And it seemed to me it was a stop. You know what I mean? Kind of in my gut, watching it live, it just seemed like a stop. Devondre made, a bunch of plays. And honestly, Eric Stokes, he gave up a touchdown, but the rookie is playing big-time minutes, man. And he did a pretty good job against Terry McLaurin and some of the other guys, man. And he had a really good deflection on 4th down. And he's been coming up big on 4th down. And to me, that means he's clutch. And I love that. On offense, who stood out? Honestly, I guess it would have to be the other guys in a sense to Robert Tonyan. You know what I mean? Tight ends day, he had himself a nice little game, a couple of receptions, maybe 5 receptions or something. I think I don't know if he had 100 yards, but he had less than 100 yards, but he had a touchdown. And, that's what counts because this team needs to put up more points. So, other than that, Rodgers had a decent day. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. He had a great pass to Adams that was just freakishly, you can't stop it no matter how hard you try. And he threw three TDs. He had a couple of 100 yards and no interceptions. I don't think did he have any interceptions? I don't think he had interceptions. And so it's but to me there was just still some decision making, some sacks he took. He didn't have to take some decision making. Not hitting guys in the flats, and I just expect more. Honestly, I feel like this Washington defense, as hurting as they are and as bad as they were coming into this game, I feel like should have put up 35, maybe 40 on these guys, honestly. So I feel like they left a lot out there. But those are my standouts. The next thing is what was my biggest takeaway? Now I'm glad you asked. What were a few of my biggest takeaways? I'm glad you asked. I wrote them all down. Stokes versus Terry 101. That was one of my takeaways, and he honestly did a pretty good job to me. All things considered, Rogers was hitting the check down in the first quarter. I guess I put it. Rogers hitting the check down in the first quarter. I don't know if that continued throughout the rest of the game. Big day for Lazard. Yeah, I mean, finally, I thought Lazard honestly would have a bigger role in the offense coming into the season, especially with like Adams being the clear number one and like MVS not really being consistent, and Amari Rogers, but now Cobb came back. But still, Cobb is like a slot guy. Like, and Lazard can really do the slot, but he can also stretch the field. So I really thought he would have more of an impact coming into this game. But today was really his first game where he had like impact. You know what I'm saying? Like that showed up. Rashawn Gary, I mean, just insane. Just insane the production that they're getting out of him the last two games with Z and now Preston. Now he stepped up big time, and so did the guys up front. And honestly, this front seven it's almost like a complete 180, and that kind of goes into my next thing is well, it actually wasn't my next thing, but I mean, just seeing Gary's, because I was going to talk about the defense being 15 from 15 up to this. Let's start over. I had a lot of things going on in my brain. Like I said, Gary had a bunch of pressure. They got a couple sacks on the day. And I just think like Joe Barry is fucking, he's turned this team around defensively. I think he's getting the most out of this team defensively than we've seen out of a defensive coordinator in a long time. And they stopped the Washington football team, I want to say 4 times. They were 0 for 4 or something like that, or 0 for 3. I think they were 0 for 4 on 4th downs. They had with the 4th and goal and some other big plays. So great job for the defense. That's a segue. I mean, that's kind of connected to the last thing I was saying about Gary and his sort of surgence over the last couple of games. I mean, that goes into Joe Barry. And I feel like I see a lot of people giving the individual players credit. And then when I point out that no one's saying Joe Barry deserves credit, they're like, well, that's implied. It's like, well, no, don't just fucking imply it. Say it out of your mouth with words. Joe Barry, damn, he's really turned his defense around. He's got them playing good. Joe Barry. We need to be, as much as we were shitting on Joe Barry and Capers and Patton, we need to be praising him now that he's got this team playing really well with all these injuries. It's incredible. Okay? Who, what, when? When was the turnaround? When was the turning point? When was the momentum swinger? There were a couple, but I think the undisputed one has to be in the third quarter. Washington, on their second down, they go back to pass, and it's a sack fumble. I'm trying to think who got the sack. I think it was maybe Gary, or maybe it was Kiki or somebody like that, but I know that Lowry recovered it. I think it was Gary. Came around the edge, swatted the hand, got the fumble, and then Dean Lowry. I mean, and I was talking about how Gary just made plays, so it's like, I mean, and at that point, it was 7-14. At that point, and Green Bay immediately takes that. Jones for gain, and then second down they go to Lewis, and on third down they go to Tyan for the touchdown. I mean, it's like on tight ends day. So, I mean, that right there, you get this 14-point swing, and that really ended up kind of being the game. Both teams would just kick a field goal from that point on. So that lead, that 14-point lead, the Packers was able to maintain that. So, I mean, really, if it wasn't for that, I mean, it would have been a lot closer, and some of those other plays, would have been a little bit more costly, and some of those mistakes would have been a little more costly. The Packers had turnovers and missed opportunities in the second half and in the fourth quarter, but I think that's really the turning point. Where would you place this on a scale of 1 to 10? I'll give this. I mean, I've been giving shit like 6.7s, and I would give this like I give it a 6.9. Again, I'm gonna be really strict on. There's just a lot. There's a lot of things I think they could have did better at. I mean, special teams. The punting was good, but the kick return was still, kind of suspect. and really Washington shot themselves in the fuss. I was about to say foot and then face, and I just said fuss. They shot themselves in the foot, the foot and the face a couple of times. I mean, there was one play where Rodgers should have thrown a pick, and they had their rookie St. Juice covering Devontae Adams, and he had perfect position to just go up and snag his first career interception, but instead he decided to put his arm on Devontae Adams' shoulder and go up and just swat the ball away. And it's like, dude, you could have had a pick. And then, Terry McLaurin had one hit him right in the face mask. That's a touchdown. So this game, it was kind of, if you watch the game, it was kind of a lot closer than the score suggests. And the Packers have been in a lot of games like that this far in the season. So that's why this Arizona is going to be a really interesting contest, especially with all the injuries they have. If Green Bay can come out on top with this one, then I'm saying they are, to me, the Super Bowl favorites at this point in the season, almost at the halfway point of the season. Why? Who, what, when, where, why? So, right, I said I gave the Packers a 6.9 because they have some things they can improve upon. They didn't run the ball enough for me. So, if you don't run the ball at least 25 times, it's going to be hard for me to give you over a 6.9. Bam. And it rhymes. Why? Ultimately, why did the Packers win this game? Ultimately, they won this game because Washington is a mess. Washington is a mess. The quarterback situation is suspect at best, even though I kind of think that the dude they have there is somebody who could have won this game yesterday, but he doesn't have the confidence in himself because they brought in Fitzpatrick. You know what I'm saying? That fucking shot his confidence. He's a young guy. He had this amazing game. He probably thinking to himself man, I fucking won the starting job next year, and they bring in this fucking rookie. They bring in this veteran journeyman to kind of take his job basically. And he's like, fuck. And now he's kind of afraid to play his style. But anyways, I'm going into his psychology too much. And this isn't the fucking Washington pack. What's Washington? This is what's packing. But to the defense's credit, Joe Barry is legitimately a major upgrade at defensive coordinator over Patton and over Capers, what we've been subject to the last 15, 20 years. Barry, in his first year here, he's getting the most out of everybody on this team. The front, I've never seen one time somebody like Preston Smith lined up in coverage on a receiver or a tight end. He's learning. He's also, what's the word I'm looking for? He's adjusting. So I think Barry deserves a lot of credit, and honestly, I think he deserves most of the credit because this defense deserves a lot of credit for this win. Even though, like I said, there were some plays where they almost could have gave up, but on paper they only give up 10 points. You know what I'm saying? And they got some turnovers, and they did their thing, man. They did their thing. So and let me not be a complete hater right here. Rodgers also played good. Those are the reasons why they won ultimately. Washington's a mess. The defense is legit this year, and Barry is a major upgrade, and Devondre Campbell was a great pickup, so Goody deserves some credit too. And fucking even Whitney, I think it's Whitney Merciless, he had some impact plays as well. And even I saw fucking Jalen Smith, or whatever his name is, get a pressure on one play that led to someone else making a play. And then because Rodgers played well. I can't hate. I hated how much they were running the ball, but the motherfucker completed 77% of his passes or something crazy, and he had over 300 yards or 286 yards or something, 3 touchdowns. 320 something, whatever. So it's I can't hate on that. It was efficient. It worked, but I feel like if they would have ran the ball, they would have been more efficient, and they would have been even better. So that's my take. Tell me yours in the comments down below. I love to see what you guys have to say. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you hate it. Thumbs up if you love it. All right. Thank you for hitting that subscription button. I really appreciate it. Until the next show, it's Go Pack, go, baby. And remember, the Bears still suck.